got Mr. Shawn Braud of Awful Lettuce on the latest episode of Tales from the Riff. 2024, we made it. How you doing, Shawn?
Yeah, we're here.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Oops. Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm coming out of practice from another band I'm in, and we're finalizing details for a coming show we got out in Morgan City. So that's been pretty cool.
Can we get the project name, or is that still?
Oh, that one's been around. Like I'm in a J-pop and J-rock cover band called Purikura Panic. On top of doing Offal Lettuce.
Yeah. Well, I was jamming some Offal Lettuce today to do my homework, and man, it is quite the setup in the grindcore aesthetic.
Oh yeah.
And man, if you want to just take us through your story, and we get going from there.
A lot of it, like, I like death metal, I like grindcore and black metal. There's a lot of first wave black metal kind of influence in some of the stuff I have. Like, not exactly in the stuff that's out right now, although you could kind of hear some Sarcophago in there sometimes with like the 1/1 style blast beat, I'd call it. And as a whole, I just like gore grind. I've been listening to it for an extremely long time, and I wanted to go at it, so I just was like, let me do this.
Now, is Awful Lettuce, is this just you?
Yeah, Offal Lettuce is just me.
Okay.
Right now, I'm not opposed to people joining, but I figured I'd had other bands where I tried writing and doing that alongside with people and trying to get it up live, but that one fell apart. So I was like, well, it's all right to go solo, because I heard other people who started off solo, like Shawn from Midnight. Apparently, he started off with just demos and his baseline material. He presented it to people, and before you know it, now it's a full band that does touring and everything. So if it goes in that direction, I'm not against it. But right now, I'd rather just focus on writing as much demo material as possible. And if it intrigues people, I'm certainly about going in a full band direction if it works out for that sound. Sometimes, like, I'll use a drum machine as the bass line for the track, so having a drummer replicate what the drum machine does is pretty much impossible with really fast stuff. But sometimes I'll do my best to write stuff out and be like, wait, a real person has to play this eventually, or it would be cool if someone did eventually play this.
Yeah.
So I try to have some level of realism in it, but, you know, as it stands, it's just me. Yeah.
Hey, real quick, Shawn, you have anything covering your mic or something like that? Because there's a lot of like sounds like something's rubbing against your mic or something like that.
Oh, I just nothing to covering it up. I guess I can maybe set something up like a towel or like a rag.
Oh no! It just sounds like something.
It sounds like it already is.
Yeah, it just sounded like something was covering it, as like I don't know if he was moving or like.
That might be the boom of my voice. I'm gonna see if setting it up right here won't catch the boom as much.
All right.
Is this okay?
Yeah, that's good. That's perfect.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So, man, I see you at a ton of shows, mainly at Siberia. I run into you, and we got a lot of mutual friends in the scene, and I'm just really curious about what are. What drove you to this type of music, from an early age?
Well, I feel like it's extremely unique. Like, it has its influences from a few places, but when you dive really deep into it, it has some stuff that's not just original for grindcore and gore grind, but I don't know, other kinds of music in general that get the sounds that it produces. Like, noise doesn't do it. Experimental music kind of gets there with some stuff, and I'm influenced by the creative process of a lot of experimental people. But, like, gore grind is certainly unique and taps into its own world.
Right. So let's just start from the beginning, man. Like, at a young age, like, what pretty much set you off into the extreme metal world?
Probably, I was just thinking about this on the way home, but probably Black Sabbath. It's cliche, but Black Sabbath's really the start. Like, I love Ozzy era Sabbath a lot, and I used to have the Ozzy Dio era combo CD, but I'd obsess over the Ozzy era. And then that branched off into getting into harder stuff like Metallica and Slayer. The first official gore grind band I probably ever really got into, though, was Last Days of Humanity. When I was about 12 or 13, there's a meme video of Bambi and, what's the rabbit's name?
Thumper.
Thumper, yeah, Thumper and Bambi. Like Bambi, I mean, Thumper's trying to teach Bambi how to have like a raw and more aggressive kind of like way of being.
Yeah.
So Thumper says, "Go now, give me a big grr," and then they play a divine proclamation to finishing the present existence from Last Days.
I remember that meme.
Out of Bambi, and I like during the time it's funny, but like I went and visited that album, and that's pretty much the pinnacle of like gore grind.
That's wild, man. And how old were you whenever you got into that?
I was 11 or 12 when I heard that.
Damn.
And like it's one thing to just know that it existed, but like I took it beyond as it's just something funny that someone made. It's like, no, this is like an album. This is like a whole thing that at that time they had already been doing for 10 years. So I was like, oh crap, there's a whole world to just this band. And then you dive harder into it. It's like, holy crap, there's a whole world into this micro genre.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I wound up finding about people. I think the next big act I found out I really liked was a band out of Russia called Vaginal Diarrhea. And to this day,
the most creative names come out of gore grind bands, dude. Like, hands down.
Yeah, they are just really
so fucking strange, gross, and descriptive, I tell you.
And that's going back to, it's really unique. Like, black metal has its evil aesthetic, and gore grind its disgusting aesthetic.
Yep.
So I like that it hones in on itself.
Yep.
But Vaginal Diarrhea, still to this day, I have never heard anybody replicate their vocal style the way they do it.
Mm-hmm. Hey, how many times you saw them live?
I wish I could see them live at all, but Homeboy's just a one-man band out of Russia. I don't know if he's ever performed in the United States.
Yeah.
But he's had a couple releases. I think the most recent stuff's been okay. But when he came out with his debut back in like 2008, 2009, I was all over that. And I'm only more of a fan now because I heard it through music apps when I was on MySpace back in the day. But I finally got my hands on a CD, and when I got the CD, that's when I started just like really, really vibing in on that.
I was having a conversation with someone not too long ago about where, namely, the New Orleans scene is heading, and for what I can tell, it's like when I grew up. You know, every like the whole Southern metal thing, sludge was was all about it, and like now we are seeing like this insurgence of like grind and just like gore grind like all over New Orleans, and it's like a bunch of young bands at that, like with the you have Brat and Slab and Congealed, Putrescence, and Offal Lettuce as well. And shitload,
big time shitload,
yeah, man,
right there.
Yep, and it's I mean it's like a great palate cleanser, you know. That's what I look at it. As I was telling my buddy, and it seems like New Orleans, the metal scene at large, is just like flourishing with all kinds of these, different bands, different genres hopping up, and it's all fucking we're all cemented in the fucking in just metal and in an extreme metal sense. And dude, like it's like what a time to be alive, dude.
And I think it's more than just the fact that there's a new movement happening, but now archiving and just networking when it comes to older bands that were around that people like kind of hyped up back then. Now we can go back in time and listen to that stuff.
Right.
Like, we've got like old Soylent Green demos. We've got Infant Slug demos.
Yeah.
We've got like some of Brian Patton's death and thrash metal bands he was in back in the day. We like Scrotesque just put out a demo re-release of something they did after the first demo they ever did. So it's a great time to revisit old stuff and have old bands or unreleased material come out.
Mm-hmm.
There has always been this undercurrent of extreme metal in New Orleans, but I don't know if it flourished as thoroughly until like recently with how diverse it was. A lot of those bands were underground, like with Vomitory and Infant Slug.
Yeah.
And there was like Crowbar coming out with like, the sludge thing, which is its own contribution to extreme stuff, and extremely so for I Hate God. Countless bands would say I Hate God was a spearhead for slower metal being the next big thing, and he took it to the next level.
All right, and I really think like what you hit on was that the undercurrent is just getting a little bit more and more higher and deeper in scale, I guess, because it's like all these bands that I mentioned like all came up through COVID or post COVID, and like a lot of bands are like using some of the same musicians in their bands, and I mean, who could blame them? I mean, like I think of like just Brat alone. I mean, Brenner, Hennessy. I mean, those two guys are like. I mean, like 18 different bands between the two, and dude, it's like their talent level is just it's fantastic to put it, for lack of a better word, and it just seems like musicians like those two guys, along with the people that have been in the scene, like your Sammy Pierre Duet, and you got and Ben Fagu. Just kind of like taking these guys, showing them what works, what doesn't. It just makes for like success.
Mm-hmm. And I like that it broadens the diversity.
Oh yeah,
big time.
Yeah,
it's still like I mentioned. It's been in the undercurrent, like with Goat Whore when they were in Kilgore, or when they were Kilgore and Catholicon back in the day. Like that's some stuff that I always love going back to.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm with you there, man. Like, I can't normally put a finger on my favorite Go Horror album, but like if someone and I put a gun to my head, I'd be like, it's Funeral Dirge. Like that's the one. That's the one I always gravitate to. Fucking as far as like Salt and Green's concerned, it's like sew them out. I'm sure, and I'm just looking forward to seeing Solid back together at fucking the Milwaukee Death Fest, man.
And they're also doing Maryland Death Fest. And
Maryland, yeah. I don't know if I'll be able to swing both of the Death Fest because that's a lot of air miles to use. But definitely I'm gonna catch the Milwaukee show, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to that because I'm one of those few people that never got to see Solid and Green live. And that's just something that I can't wait to do. But
there's a funny story about Soylent Green that was the first show I ever went to by myself. I was like 12, 13 years old.
Fucking A.
And they played at Cypress Hall, and I was terrified because it was an almost sold out crowd. There were people going so hard that there were people being pulled out and taken into ambulances. It's
Holy shit.
Wild place. So it's like experiencing all that around 12, 13 years old, trying to navigate how to, function in something.
Yeah, yeah.
Also being blown away at just the sheer ferocity and amazing talent that is Soylent Green.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a whole jump into a world too. It wasn't quite the I probably think it wasn't the very, very first show, but it was definitely one of the earliest that left a strong impression on me.
I'm sure, and that just kind of catapulted you into this, in this seething cauldron of grind and and gore grind that you're entrenched in right now. I think I lost you.
Oh, I was just listening to you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just saying that. From that show, you just basically were catapulted in this, this genre that you're making music in currently.
Oh yeah, that was certainly like an early catalyst, because that was before I think I discovered a lot more gore grind stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I probably just got into Scum at that point from Napalm Death.
Yeah.
So, and then having that like band locally to be around and just experience that added a certain pride to that whole experience.
I just can't get over like how many riffs that Brian can fit into 3 minutes of a song. It's fucking insane.
And they're really weird sounding when you play them back.
Uh-huh.
They have almost like black metal kind of versions on them with a little bit of like blues stuff, and it's just like, this is like in grind, but it works out so nicely. Yeah, I know.
A perfect example of that is Build Fear. I was just jamming that this morning on my way to work, and it's got that bluesy intro with Ben just talking over the bars, and then just straight into this fucking like hard ass sludgy death metal fucking riff, and it just takes off from there. It's insane.
Yeah, I wish I like I'm experienced with most of the Sewn Not Secrets. I just wish I knew those songs more to heart, like I know other albums to heart.
Yeah. So, when did you have your first band? Like, when did that start with you?
The very first thing I ever tried putting together, like technically it could have been like Permafrost Burial when I was like 13 or 14. Mm-hmm. That wasn't me necessarily going up to other people and asking if they were interested in playing too much. I did kind of hang around with Amputee back in the day, so I was like trying to get a taste of band life from that, but I was real-time outsider with that because like I barely played guitar decently, and I didn't have social skills that were the best back then, so I was like, just getting my feet wet. But I did listen to a lot of stuff. Like, I loved Morbid Angel, especially Heretic and Altars of Madness back then. So I tried doing, like, a black death metal thing influenced by that, among other things I liked back then. But I tried writing some, like, real simple stuff way back then. But I took it back up in, like, 2015, 2016, and did more Black Doom style stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it has some riffs and sounds that are from like that era, but it opened up to like Black Sludge kind of stuff, or Black Doom, kind of more like Goat Lord and Krieg's Machine kind of sound.
So somewhere like along the way, you just kind of like fell back on your roots, and like I'm gonna pick up the pace a little bit. I'm gonna get a little bit more, a little faster with the riffing.
There was some speed to Permafrost Burial. Like, it would have, like, moments where it'd be slower, and it'd have times where it would be faster. But that kind of dissolved between multiple people, just, like, going their own way. Like, the drummer wound up getting into nursing and stuff, so he had to take that more seriously.
Yeah.
Some other members wanted to do other stuff. And I was like, well, if it's going to dissolve like this, I guess I could just, like, take a step back and reassess some other stuff I'd want to do, or go back to demo writing, but I never did go through with writing those songs full out. And around that time, I transitioned into just doing Offal Lettuce.
Let's talk about Offal Lettuce. So, I mean, that purely is just a one-man thing. Mm-hmm. And how long did that take you to write and hash out all the riffs, I guess, like from start to finish? As far as your first release.
Well, the funny part is the very first stuff I ever wrote is like still ongoing. And I showed demo material to people back in 2018 and 2019.
Okay.
And it came along decently, but I just was like trying to finish a degree, and I was caught up in, doing stuff around the city. So I just lost track of stuff for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID happens.
Yeah.
And I didn't stop working, but I had less time I spent at work. So I was like trying to come up with more stuff for it, but I experimented with other tunings and other kinds of arrangements. So the first EPs I put out, those were actually written after this other stuff I had been working on. So those came out really quick. Like, they were just kind of random interjections and stuff I was writing that I was really vibing in on. I was like, hell, I want to put this out.
I mean, because I listened to one of the tracks, and I mean, man, it just hits you like a fucking ton of bricks. Like it's like it's unrelenting.
Yeah, that first album really goes, or the first demo, I think really goes hard. I really like Boiled Tongue side too. He just is like wild noise grind.
Yeah.
And I like that there's different flavors where he's just like, he's organic drums and he's very organic process. I'm mostly organic. The drum machine's the only thing that's like programmed in that whole process. Everything else is like, I might have effects, but sometimes I'll do bypass. Sometimes I do bypass and this pitch shifted signal, and sometimes it's pure pitch shifted signal. So I experimented a lot more with varied vocal mixes on the demo after was split with Brackish.
So was there ever any live shows with Offal?
Yeah, there was the first time I did Offal Lettuce this past January, like towards the end of January. I coincidentally like booked it around Chewbacca, so it worked out because it had a pretty nice turnout, and it was with Psychic Bastard and Nocturnal Sorcery.
Where was that at? Was that at Siberia or something like that? Or?
Yeah, that was just a locals night over at Siberia.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think I remember you telling me about that, like just before the holidays, that you were going to do that, and man, I ended up getting like a freaking one of the worst. I have an autoimmune condition, and I had a bad flare up and I just had freaking therapy yesterday. That's why I couldn't get to you yesterday. I went to an all day infusion therapy, and I feel like a new man. So thank God for modern medicine. And
modern medicine is awesome as hell.
Yeah, whenever Mother Insurance could whenever, hey, can we do it? All right, we're gonna do it. Awesome. It only took a couple months in the making, but we got it done. But anyway,
I was thankful that I had gallbladder surgery. I was worried up until the day that whether or not I had coverage. So,
dude, that's.
But I talked to my surgeon. He's like, look, with your case, you're at the last level before it becomes an issue, like near fatal.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I didn't think it was that bad. But he's like, if we don't do this operation, your gallbladder could potentially explode. So
holy shit,
we're gonna get this done. So I basically got sponsored surgery. In fact, I wanted to do a demo about that operation, and I wanted the stones from the operation to be segmented into pieces, and I wanted to do a limited cassette run where every demo tape had a piece of the gallstone.
Wow.
But the surgeon didn't let me keep my stones, so I had to drop that idea, and I was extremely pissed off about that.
Well, I mean, I guess you gotta take the good with the bad. You got a sponsored surgery. They kept the stones. Hey, and you get to still be around to have this interview.
Oh yeah, among other things.
Well, you're right.
Like the thing that gets me is that I hear about other people having their stones. I'm just like, why can't I keep my fucking stones?
Yeah. Man, that's wild shit, man. I wondered. I guess that maybe because of the gallbladder and the surgery and whatnot is I'm not faulting you on it when I asked you this, but I know like whenever I met you, you was wearing you were masked up. Was that because your immune system was compromised as well?
Oh no, I'm tight about it sometimes at shows, or most of the time I'm tight about wearing masks at shows, just because I've heard people have spreads.
That's true.
They spread COVID when they go to concerts and stuff most of the time.
Yeah.
So I'm most of the time like just wanting to play it safe. I think it's fair to be able to like wear your protection. You still be able to socialize and still able to do everything that you normally would do. Yeah,
I'm not faulting you at all, man. I mean, in all honesty, I should be doing the same thing with a compromised immune system like myself, but I don't. I kind of roll the dice that way, I guess. But I abstain from smoking and drinking, so I do my body a favor like that. But anyway, man. So what are some of the things that is on your radar as far as like what you're listening to these days?
I've kind of gone all over. Like, I'm really a person that goes across different genres. Like, I really like most stuff in metal. I've got some stuff, I'd rather not listen to, or I think it's just okay. But I've been going back a lot. Like, I've been discovering, like, Nuclear War Now bands, like Order from Chaos, and went back to Angel Corpse.
That guy has quite the catalog, doesn't he? Shit.
Yeah. I think it's Yosuke.
Yeah.
On top of, like, just revisiting his catalog, I've been listening to interviews with him, and he's had some good points about stuff.
And he's also, I think tomorrow starts the actual campaign. I guess it's a Kickstarter campaign for his Helio press.
Yeah, it's a fundraiser for the new press out in Texas. That's going to be super cool.
Yeah, man.
He's getting, like, punk, noise acts, metal bands, basically anybody who's, like, kind of alternative outsider art, you're free to work with them.
Right.
And he's looking to get more accessibility for some artists that would have a hard time with vinyl releases.
That's awesome.
Because I think it's super awesome.
It's super awesome because, I mean, like COVID, I go back to that because it was just, 3 or 4 years ago. And, like, it put such a strain on, the record industry and namely vinyls, because all the big artists want to get their fucking records, out there, and, like, and lesser known, or even, labels like Metal Blade. I mean, they can only do so much for their artists with, like, only I think they had maybe 2 vinyl presses that were, like, able to operate, and then, like, in the middle of COVID, one burnt down or some shit. So,
oh shit,
yeah, I remember because I remember Sammy telling me about this whenever they were just prior to them releasing the latest Angels release, and they were like, we got to wait until one of the vinyl pressings is available because there's only one that's operating right now. So, I'm all for Helio Press, like, coming up. I mean, that's just more availability for fucking underground bands to get their message out and release their music. So let's have at it.
Yeah, anything to make things easier and cooler, I'm all for it.
Shit, yeah, man. And just I haven't interviewed or spoke to the owner of NWN, but that's one guy I got my I got my eye on, and I definitely like hearing what he has to say as far as music's concerned and records and where he sees the industry going. And I'd like to get him on the podcast soon, that's for sure. So if you're listening, Yoshi, please, let's hook up.
Yeah, his interview with I think it's Chuck from Ares Kingdom. That was extremely interesting.
Very much, yeah. I didn't get to hear it, but I know. I know that very, very fucking articulate and very well-spoken guy. I mean, one would have to be, to play salesman, owner, project manager, and developer of a record label, and now fucking vinyl pressing.
Yeah, Yosuke's great with that.
But he definitely knows his shit, man.
In Chuck's case with Ares Kingdom, I had no idea he had such deep ties with Corthan from Bathory.
Oh, wow. Neither did I. I need to go back and watch our interview.
Oh, yeah. That's I listened to it. That's one of the best interviews he's done easily. Now
is Bathory and Corthan something that you were always into as well?
Oh, yeah. That's been... In fact, when I was... when I went through Katrina... and it went to Houston, my family took me to the Alamo, and while out in San Antonio, I heard about a record shop, I think called Wild Hog Records. But I visited there, and I saw Havohej with Dethrone. I think it's Dethrone, the Son of God vinyl. But I saw that, and then I saw Bathory's debut album. And between the two, I stuck with, I got Bathory's debut album, I got Misery Index's Discordia, and what was it called? Warbringer's War Without, or It was the first album Warbringer had. I think it's War Without End. I forgot. It's been a long time. But I'll never forget having the Misery Index album and Bathory as the first purchases.
I think, you didn't go wrong with either purchase, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. I still like Warbringer. It's just, I haven't listened to it as much because, there's better thrash.
Yeah.
But that's not saying Warbringer's bad.
No, not at all. Not at all.
In fact, I like their progression that it's still thrash and it's still metallic. It's just it's different expressions of stuff.
Yeah. So
they don't want to rehash the first 2 albums worth of stuff. There's a later album that they did that it was kind of like how Toxic Holocaust did. Was it Conjuring the Subconscious or something?
Mm-hmm.
But that album was extremely different from everything they had done before. So Warbringer had a similar case where it was a album that deviated from their normal cycle, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, I can appreciate that too, and I can also appreciate this in the past, I guess, 15 years or so, maybe even 20. Compared if we're going back to 94, I'd say, and fucking bands like Aura Noir from Norway. Mm-hmm. I've been getting increasingly putting my ear to the ground that comes out of Norway, bands like Death Hammer and Necrohomosexual, and Fenris of Dark Throne just joined up with Apollyon and one of the guys, 2 guys from Cobalt in their hometown. They call it Coffin Storm, and it's just it's fucking amazing. I mean, it's just old school fucking thrash or even heavy rock, and they had released 1 single so far, and the vocals from Fenris is just over the top ridiculous, but it's just, if you appreciate the dude for what he does and what he brings to the table musically, I mean, you're gonna like what Coffin Storm is. I mean, the music, I mean, is fucking great on its own, but having Fenris round out the trio with his vocals is pretty cool. But I say that because I find myself the older I get and the more shit I listen to, although I appreciate the likeness of Warbringer and Ex Mortis, I suppose, there's a lot of Bay Area, or even maybe West Coast, I'd say West Coast thrash, and they sound amazing. The musicianship is fucking through the roof with those guys, and but to me, it's the production is just so over the top and so fucking polished that everything kind of tends to almost sound the same in some respects. I'm not, it's just, I know, people love that, people appreciate that, and I do, but it just seems like, to me, if you got something a little bit, cut and dry and a little bit raw sounding, something like Black Thrash, like Midnight, you brought them up, and I'll follow them under the same category as some of the bands I appreciate from Scandinavia, and it's just I gravitate towards that as my endpoint. It's I feel one with something that's just more stripped down and basic than over the top fucking production.
I like both ends where I like bands that take a tape recorder and just kind of go at it.
Yeah.
And then I equally respect people who are oh my God, Steve Albini. I can respect the Steve Albini level of obsession with a perfect sound and an extremely particular sound.
Yeah.
I think there's a craft to both of them where it's just, one is production is, not a farce, but it's just excessive and it's not necessary to be so nitpicky.
Yeah.
And the other hand is being nitpicky about it gets you exact sounds that you want. And I think there's a place for both.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
I'm putting that actually into practice the way I do stuff, because with Offal lettuce, I might have a time where I do a more raw sound, but I don't currently have the means to get a raw sound to come out decent as a one-man band. But there'll be a day where like I'd like to experiment with that. But I'm helping out Nocturnal Sorcery with demo recording and like getting something out for them. And I kept that setup extremely simple. I barely want to master it. I just want like the take to speak for itself.
Yeah.
And it's just one stereo microphone in the room with good enough placement to where it sounds good and not much else touching it, and let the band speak for themselves.
Now, what type of genre is Nocturnal Sorcerer? Because that's a name that I haven't had much, research on.
They are satanic Hispanic black metal. Sweet. Just straightforward black metal.
Yeah, I love it already. That's right in my wheelhouse, man.
And it's very first wave. I don't know if South America had multiple waves. I guess you can count that if like Mystifier going into the melodic and like keyboard territory was the next wave, but it's just straightforward South American style black metal.
Now, Shawn, where do you do a recording? You do it like everything at somewhere like a rehearsal room, or you do it like in the comforts of your own home?
I just do it in my house. Like I got a mix board right next to me on my desk. It's just a simple 4-channel mixer, but it's a decent enough one to where it does the trick. But I'm ever in the mood. Like sometimes I'll record stuff out of a pedal setup. Sometimes I'll record from an amp. There's all sorts of different ways. Whatever kind of sound I get out of different arrangements I stick with.
Hell yeah, man.
I'd like to do something at like a rehearsal space because the setup's a little bit more cool. But the other half of it is I'd also like to go to like Sonic Ranch one day, and I'm really jealous of Heraclius going out to Sonic Ranch.
Yeah, I was talking to Bobby and Speed about that process, man. It was wild. Like, I don't know I forget how many acres Sonic Ranch is sitting on, but I mean the guys the 8 slept, practice, recorded everything at Sonic Ranch, and said, man, it was just had time of their lives over there, and there was like cats in every room, and Apollo had his choice of like every guitar known to man. I think in the production room they were at, just the board I think was like $2 million or some shit.
Yeah, it's an actual Motown board.
Right.
It's not even like a model of it. It's the Motown.
Yeah, it's the Motown board. Yeah. I can't even imagine, man. I playing in there. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, I would feel like I'd be in a museum or some shit.
Like being in the same space that Cannibal Corpse and Swans recorded amazing albums in.
Right.
That's already big shoes to kind of like be next to.
Yeah. And I probably shouldn't be saying it, but I mean I got to hear the recording of Heraclian's new one that they had at Sonic Ranch, man, and I tell you what, dude, people are gonna be fucking blown away when they hear this shit. They just will.
Hell yeah.
Like I told Bobby, I told Speed, and I was like, man, it's like you take what we know of Heraclian right now and just like put like a fucking exponent right there at the end of their name, and it's just wild.
More death.
Oh yeah,
trash.
More death.
Heraclian.
Yeah. It's just. I can't wait till people like get their hands on it.
I'm gonna actually bring up an interesting point, and it's gonna tie back to Yosuke's point he made in another video, that he sees people being more global about their observation of metal. The other hand to it nowadays is that there is so much to pay attention to that I'll personally turn off my eye to a lot of stuff. I'll still keep in touch to an extent, and I do listen to a lot, but I'm wanting to hone in on what's happening locally.
Right. I do the same thing.
In a weird way that before it was because accessibility to stuff on a global scale wasn't there, and now the accessibility is so excessive, it makes people want to hone in on the local scene more.
And I think that's where that, you know, the law of diminishing returns kicks in. You know, you could only absorb and only, you know, and gain so much and retain so much information and songs that would, like, after a while, just like, dude, okay, all right, you know, that's great, but it's not this. You know, like it's somewhere before, like you know, you might have heard the same song. You know, maybe the riffs are out of sync or like are out of order, but it's the same shit you've heard before. It's nothing new.
That's for the most part.
That's kind of what I gather. You know,
some people that still go on producing, like they still pop out with stuff that you still appreciate.
Yeah.
But and then I think the accessibility for stuff, there's still chances to be impressed by amazing things that are either the next big thing or the current big thing. And sometimes it's just great to find stuff that you simply like and don't put on an enormous pedestal, and you don't want to criticize too hard. It's just enjoyable. It's fine to have some stuff that's just plain old enjoyable.
Yeah, you know, I'm done with that that phase I used to be in where I just wanted to dissect, analyze, and just pigeonhole like every single note and every fucking lyric that I heard. And, like, now it's like, okay, man, if it sounds great, it's great. You know, I don't need to overthink it.
I'm a type that's like, oh, I heard 5 new albums. That's cool. Let me go back to listening to Ice Cross.
yeah, exactly. You know, I just, you know, I like hearing what's being. There's 2 fucking scenes that I follow. I mean, obviously, New Orleans, fucking South Louisiana, and then there's Norway and fucking Sweden. Like, I just that's always what I've been about. Like, as far as my, you know, the American online days, it's like having pen pals from fucking from wherever, and they told me about black metal, and like I just been obsessed ever since. And you know, it's like, and the other side of that coin was like, okay, well, dude, like, I like Asabath, I like fucking Southern Green.
But hey, it's going back, like Sammy Dewey, enormous black metal fan, so it's like it's all full circle.
It is, dude, it is.
And like Infant Slug, they were rocking Pungent Stench shirts like in the mid '90s out here. Like, that was cutting edge. If you wear that now people still drop their jaw and like, holy crap, what's that? And it's like, people who know about it, you know, they're in on it, but it's almost still just as like shocking and intense as it was back then.
Oh yeah. So, how geeked up are you about that Vader show tomorrow night?
I'm very excited, especially the first time I saw them. Like, I was a fan, and I listened to a decent amount of stuff, but nowadays it's like I like go home and practice songs they've wrote out. I love De Profundis to a deep extent. I love Litany. I've liked The Art of War, or This Is the War. I forget if the single was. I thought the single or the EP was called The Art of War, but the one with This Is the War. I love that one, so I'm particularly excited, and it's especially, I think I've gotten the reminder for sharing the flyer for that, and it was like 7-8 years ago. So realizing it's been that long since I've seen Vader is just, you know, a nice refresher. But it's a deeper respect I have nowadays because I've been so much more of a fan than I've ever been before.
Yeah, I remember, like, I've always seen the name, and I remember like jumping on Revelations back in, I don't know, what was that like 2003, 2002 time frame, and like I just like since then, man, like I kind of went backward to hear their stuff, and then, man, like their latest release that they came out with, the Solitude and Madness. I mean, that was in 2020, and I just like that, like the tone on that fucking album is insane. Like, it's just so fucking heavy.
Yeah, I feel that way about De Profundis. I still love De Profundis to a like good extent. Like, I will play Soak This. Basically, if I tune to D, just to mess around, I'm going to play Sophus.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help it.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear him. It'll be my first time seeing him live. I missed out on them before they came. The last time they came, and so I am so damn excited for Vader.
I remember one of the very first times they ever came to New Orleans. They played at the Hangar, and there were people saying that was a terribly attended show. There must have been 7 people there. So having the next time they were at Siberia, and there was about a crowd of 60 people, that was a nice, turning point. And I'm hoping even more, not only show up, but just go bonkers at the GOAT.
Man, I mean, I can't get over that it's going to be at the GOAT because, I mean, that room is so small.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to go, people are going to go fucking bananas, man. It's going to be fucking insane.
Yeah, it'd be like I Hate God over at Poor Boys all over again.
Oh, bro. Yeah. What, for the outside show?
Nah, they played inside a while back, and it was just like sardines, like trash cans getting thrown around.
Oh, yeah.
It being so hot. It's just, it was a wild, wild time.
Yeah, I caught the, it was like a Halloween show a few years back with Goat Whore and it Shitload and I Hate God, and it was all outside, man. They built the stage specifically for that fucking show, and it was great. That was a great turnout.
I loved seeing them the time when Hollis Witten did vocals for White Neighbor song.
Yeah.
That was great because they had Brian Patton with them, and when he's in there, he adds that oomph, and without him, it's still I Hate God, but him in there adds so much more oomph.
Yeah.
And I insist on Brian's not here, I'm kind of pouting, but still enjoying myself.
Did you see?
And when Brian is there, I'm hyped up.
Did you catch the Southport show?
I wish I did. I missed out on that.
Oh man, because I tell you, it's just like you mentioned, man. With Brian in the lineup, it's like the sound is it's so much thicker. It's a whole nother dynamic of sound. Mm-hmm. And dude, it's like it fucking fills the room with Brian, dude. And I just wish the guy played with them all the fucking time. Selfishly, I'm like we all do think that, but still, nonetheless, man. I mean, it's gonna be a great show tomorrow night. So I'm looking forward to seeing you and all the other guys and girls out there. It's gonna be great, man.
Yeah, I can't wait to turn up and just go bananas. I don't know if I'll ever stop moshing. I'll probably have to be to a point where my bones start to ache, and even then, it's just just do more cardio. You got this.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Don't stop. Don't ever stop.
Yeah, in fact, I'm gonna go back to Yosuke with that. He talked about how it's the people who stop working and stop, dancing. When you give in, that's when you start decaying. I was I took that real seriously. That's a great point to stand on. Never stop, going hard.
Yeah. That's damn good words to live by, man. Because from all accounts, I've heard old men say the day you start to die is whenever you retire. You die a little faster anyway.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get. I'm desperately not trying to retire. I mean, I think that's why I don't have a 401k to this day.
Yeah, I'm trying to think with mine. Maybe I should think about long-term finances, but the other half to it is if your present isn't good enough, then retiring seems so distant and far away, and not an impossibility, but it's nothing compared to how do I make now work.
Yeah.
And, that's its own discussion and thing to get into with making now a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. So this new project you got going on, is everyone what can you say about it that get the audience excited?
For Offal Lettuce?
For Offal Lettuce and for in that project you just got back from practice.
Oh, well, with Purikura Panic, that's been going on for about a year and a half.
Okay.
I've been excited about that because that has pushed me into playing styles that like I appreciate but normally wouldn't take up. Like I'd normally prioritize playing metal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, I liked anime around the same time I liked metal. Like when I discovered Black Sabbath, I was watching Toonami and like learned about the whole world of anime from that. So they were kind of in tandem. They've just been there since the beginning.
Oh, okay.
So being able to do Offal Lettuce, that is an expression of my love and obsession with metal and gore grind stuff, and being able to do Purikura Panic, it's a nice way for two different sides of my personality and interests to coexist and add meaning and purpose to my life.
Hell yeah, man.
But for Purikura Panic, it's certainly taken up a lot of my time, and the challenge for me lately is learning how to balance that with doing Offal Lettuce, but I've been prioritizing getting the show together with Offal Lettuce. I want to prioritize demo writing. I still try to play as much as possible to where even if I can't come up with stuff to finish what I currently have, I at least maintain my chops. So I'm ready to take it up whenever I'm ready for stuff to go forward. But for Offal Lettuce, I actually have a lot of back material that I need to finish, but the instant I want to finish something, I come up with a new idea. So I have to hone in on what I've already made so that I can have a complete catalog instead of a segmented catalog.
Mm-hmm. So, Offal Lettuce, as far as your tunings, I mean, what kind of tuning are you using for Offal?
Offal changes basically every time I think of writing a song. Like the self-titled demo that I want to finish as the next thing I put out is in B.
Mm-hmm.
The first demo I did with Boiled Tongue, that was in A standard. The Brackish Split, I did that in B standard. I have another demo that I'm coming up with that it's more death metal, melodic death metal mixed with gore grind.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's in B flat. There's another demo. I have a lot of back material, like a lot of different kinds of demos. So that one is in drop F sharp.
Wow.
I bought a Kramer Beretta, and I bought an 8-string gauge set to put on that guitar so I can tune that low.
Yeah,
and I'm lucky
seriously
that
low tunings.
I'm lucky I have a 5-string bass, so it's floppy, but it will go down there and make what's like at least some recognizable sounds.
Well, it's definitely heavy as all shit when it's translated.
Yeah.
The stuff that I heard on Bandcamp, that's definitely,
I don't know if I would go any lower than the setup I have now, though. At that point, it would just be doing Shroom, where they did 2 basses.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm good with what I'm doing now.
What do you foresee any new projects on the horizon besides Offal Lettuce and Parikiri?
I mean, sometimes I'll have an idea about stuff, but I have to keep it real about like my time and my availability to see those things through. Mm-hmm. But I did a jam with a friend of mine last week that went pretty solidly. We've been talking about where we kind of mesh up, and what we wound up actually doing, we talked about how he loved jazz, and I like prog rock, and we meshed up on that, and we wound up meshing on black metal in chat. When it came to actually playing, I tried doing some prog stuff with him, but I thought of too complex of stuff where I can't play 2 guitar parts at the same time. So I was trying to simplify it, didn't do with that. So then I was like, fuck it, let's cover Dark Throne. So we wound up playing Dark Throne stuff.
Dude, I will never fault anyone for wanting to cover Dark Throne. I mean, you know, if you follow the show at all, the podcast, I mean, dude, I make no mistake about it. Like, I'll Dark Throne's my shit.
Yeah, I don't know the exact amount of times I've listened to the podcast. My guess is at least like 5 to 7 times. But I've listened to a decent amount of shows to know you're an enormous black metal fan. And I'm here to let you know that I'm there with you.
That's right.
For black metal.
Hell yeah, dude. In fact, I'm you start talking about, keeping your chops up. I'm at that point where I kind of lost some creative motivation in the last 2 months, but in the past couple weeks or so, when I knew that I was, going to be getting treatment pretty soon, I was like, man, I just got back, started doing my fucking scale work and working on chromatic exercises and getting my chops up again, and started fucking, getting my right hand a little stronger before inflammation would set in, and been working with another musician in town, and from the area, and man, I think we got something cooking up, and it's something to look forward to, and I'm excited. So now
hell yeah,
and it's gonna be my first go at having something serious as far as recording and putting some songs, not necessarily to tape, but putting some shit out there. So yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing that, man.
Appreciate it, dude. As soon as I got something, full go, I'll send it to you. Don't even worry about that.
I honestly, the instant you put it out, I might find it. I'm that kind of person where I really keep my ear to the ground with what's happening locally, and I'll never shut up about the instant I hear something I like locally. I've been telling people about Woven Throne lately.
Dude, I like them. I like them a lot.
Yeah, they're an impressive melodic black metal outfit. I'm excited to see how the future goes for them.
Have do they play live? I know it's just two guys, but
they want to, because I talked to one of the guys from that. They said they want to. It's just a matter of working out the details and how they'll go about it. I don't know if they have real drums or programmed drums. I didn't get into that deep a talk with them about it, but they at least said that they are interested in going live.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I'm watching those single releases and the potential demo release like a hawk. I think if I ever log in on Instagram, I just instinctively go to that page and I'm like, did they get it yet? Did they put it out? When's it coming out?
Right. The single that my buddy Jacob Mesh from he's now the vocalist for Vadic Decryption out of Baton Rouge. He was the guy that told me about Woven Throne. He's like, dude, check these guys out. And I was like, holy shit, man. And, they're, again, local. And some guys I would really like to talk to myself, and get to know them more. And I do believe I might have saw one of the guys at Siberia before. I think it might have been the Mall show. Whenever Mall...
Yeah, when they had Mall and Cloak.
Cloak, yes. Yeah,
I talked with them about if I had seen them, because I was curious about, if I met them before. And one of them mentioned that they were he was at Cloak, so I was like, oh, I was at that.
Yeah.
I might have talked to him, but I don't remember.
Yeah. But definitely.
Cloak was impressive.
Oh, they are.
And then I also know about Vadic Decryption, and that was some pretty decent, it's like brutal death metal, isn't it?
Yeah. They got some, some, Carl Coates is, it's his baby, I believe, and I got Jake, and you got Mike on drums, and I think they're trying out a new bass player. I think that's why they kind of been on hiatus, because of a bass player being new to the mix or something like that.
Okay.
But I'm looking forward to what they got in store. I guess so much good local talent, man, that's just coming up, and I think that there's so much fucking healthy competition these days as far as the music's concerned, and people wanting to break out and just get exposed.
The way people interact in this city, though, it's less of a competition,
right?
And it's more of a interaction and collaboration.
Yes, even better.
Because I loved seeing that Void and Heraklion played together, I forget if they both did Voivod. I thought that was just Heraklion that did the show with Voivod.
I know. Yeah, it was just Heraklion did Voivod.
Okay, because I unfortunately missed that.
Oh, that was a great show. That was a really great show. Because it was Heraklion, Voivod, and Imperial Triumphant. Yeah,
Imperial Triumphant. That's right. But I'm glad to see Void and Heraklion sharing the bill with other bands.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know, like, I guess in like other scenes and long time ago, it seems like bands that like that are in a similar scene and they have like different expressions of the same sound. Sometimes that you see them kind of fight stuff out or have a subtle kind of cold rivalry. And for them, it's not like that. They just they do their own thing. They respect each other. They play with each other and they hype each other up. I like that.
Yeah, I was talking about this with a good friend of mine earlier this week. Is that there's a lot of the idea of gatekeeping. And there's a lot of young people that I see in the bands, like namely, like you said, like Void and Heraklion, where just encouraging each other and and just learning each other's guitar parts and whatever. You see a lot of that, and and it doesn't stop there. I mean, you got people like a lot of bands sharing the same musicians. Keep going back to like Ian Hennessy, with Congealed and Braud and Pussy Rot and who
Baptizer.
And then you have some of the older the well established, I'm not gonna say older, but more well established bands like Goat Whore and and just like giving them a spot at a local gig just to open up for them. I mean, that's huge, man. I mean, I remember like coming up in the 90s and early 2000s, there was so much shit talk, like you would read about it, in local magazines and shit like that. And I think, we figured out like real and fast in a hurry is that, it's a small scene, and we have the internet, and word of mouth travels really fucking fast nowadays, and like everyone is just waiting to pull the trigger on their fucking cell phone and like record some outlandish shit. So like, why do it? Why bother with the fucking the bullshit? Life is already stressful as it is.
Yeah, it's stressful when you're collaborating and doing your best.
Yeah,
let alone when you're antagonistic of each other.
Exactly.
The other half to that too. It's like I remember. There's a story about Catholicon when they first started out before they did their demo stuff. Sammy Dewey was listening to them at rehearsals or at like random demo tapes that they submitted to him. But he made the suggestion for them to add keyboards to their stuff. Mm-hmm. And then after they did that, they changed things up, and it got really interesting. And to this day, I still love going back to the Chronicles of the Lost War in Heaven and Treatise in the Abyss. Like, those two are really standout black metal albums. Even as, like, a whole in all of black metal, and especially so in all of, like, Louisiana metal.
Yeah. That being said, man, I almost got away from it, but I had a quick reminder. I need to know, what is 6 albums that you cannot live without? Albums, CDs, whatever.
Yeah, I want to go off the dome. Part of me is like, oh, do I keep other genres in mind? Like, do I try to balance this out?
Hey, it's whatever you want, Shawn.
I'm going to go off of instinct.
Okay, do it.
That's real tough. I'm gonna do my best with an instinctive call, and I know this was coming, but I didn't want to prep up for it. I was like, I'm gonna let it be an instinctive thing. I don't want to prep up.
I love it when it's completely impromptu, man. I love
it. 6 albums I can't live without. Oh God, I'm thinking of 2 right off the top of my head, and I'm having them fight it out. I'm just like, which one do I like more? and I like them for different reasons. Okay, as a whole, I'll come out with Slumber of Sullen Eyes from Demigod.
Okay.
The BBC mix of Jeff Mills, Chopin's Nocturnes, the Essential Collection of Willie Nelson. I think that's number 4 about now. Or is that number 3?
I think that was 4.
Yeah.
Chopin,
then
Willie.
Demigod. Oof. I want a black metal album in there. Like, I just kind of like...
Selfishly, I want one in there too.
Yeah. I have to keep the black metal in the mix. Under the Sign of the Black Mark. I'm just going to go with that as like a pick from the pile. Right. That's one I think every time I grab a guitar, I play stuff from that.
And number 6 coming up.
Ooh. Yeah, oh my God, that's a lot of pressure for the final one. And if I make it, it's like I can obviously, have my other ones I'd like to go back to.
Yeah, absolutely. No pressure.
Shit.
The building is on fire.
Yeah, the building's on fire.
You got to go.
Have to grab it.
You got to grab it.
Out of what I have. Okay, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath from Black Sabbath.
Yeah, you go, baby. I love it. Shit, yeah. That was one very eclectic mix, I must say. Congrats, sir.
That's what I do my best to kind of keep it real with what I like, and that's the stuff.
Hey, man, I appreciate that.
With Jeff Mills's BBC mix, I enter a trance state and hone in so hard on that mix, and it's a 3-hour long deal, so it's a lot of dedication. But he never relents on his smooth transitions, his hard hitting beats. He's just on it, and then. With Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, it's as beautiful as it is heavy.
It's chef's kiss, dude.
And part of me was like, hey, hold on. You listen to Sabotage a lot more than Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, but I like Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath so much.
I'm right there with you, dude. Fucking A National Acrobat, that fucking song alone. If I could just pick one song from that fucking album, it's National Acrobat. That fucking riff that Tony put out is just fucking insane. It's infectious. It's fucking hypnotic. I've been listening to it since I was fucking, 10, 12 years old. I don't know. Mm-hmm. There's just something about it. And fucking Killing Yourself to Live. Holy shit.
Killing Yourself to Live is amazing.
So good. So good. Fuck.
That's you're going through a hard time. Listen to that song and put things into perspective.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And you're going through a great time, and it reminds you that you're on the right track, so it works both ways.
Fucking right, man. Shawn, dude, this has been a pleasure, dude. Thanks for joining me on the pod. It's the first one back in 2024.
I'm honored.
Dude, it was a great conversation. We get to continue it tomorrow night when we go to see Vader. My friend, it's going to be awesome. Looking forward to seeing you.
Absolutely looking forward to seeing you too, man.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to hearing what you got in store as far as Offal Lettuce is concerned, and the new project. Yeah, this is great, man. We'll do it again sometime.
I'm trying to think I'll make the last call or one last thing about Offal Lettuce's future stuff. A demo that's coming to me really quickly. Mm-hmm. It's a lot sludgier.
Oh,
it's sludgy, but it's also still Offal Lettuce. Hey. So it's going to be slow. It's going to have real fast parts, but it's diversifying it a lot.
You know, and you saying that, I believe it, because you're a man who knows what he's talking about when it comes to music and everything heavy. Dude, definitely looking forward to it. And again, I'm going to see you tomorrow night. We're going to have some fun. Till then, dude, thanks for hopping on the podcast with me. And I'm going to see you soon.
Hell yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for this opportunity.
You got it, brother.